Hey, loves. So, in this little series, we're talking about authority because authority and strategy are one of the most important pieces that you really get to embody in order to be living energetically correctly for your type, and to be in alignment. And when we are aligned and embodied, everything around us becomes easier, right? When we are going with the flow of the river rather than against it. And for those of you watching this with a sacral authority, one of the biggest pieces of deconditioning that you get to do, or one of the pieces of conditioning that often gets most kind of in the way, is the societal disconnection from our sacral. Now, I work with multiple brain integration technique. And so I work with your head brain, your heart brain, your gut brain, your autonomic nervous system, and your pelvic brain to help you be in alignment and be working in an embodied way with your embodied wisdom, with this incredible resource that you have as but as most of us are kind of taught to operate solely from our head brain, right? And each one of these intelligences has its own core competencies and the things that it is really here for. And your pelvic brain, which links in with your sacral chakra and your sacral center, is connected to the sacred, right? And it's where we're connected to the universe. It's where we came from, right? We grew inside our mother's womb and we had this umbilical cord and we were stardust, right? Like we came from magic. We came from co-creation, which happens again like when the pelvic brain is at its highest expression. Its highest expression is co-creation. So that is what we are designed as human beings to be here to do, to work together, to co-create, right? To bring the vitality and life force energy that comes from our sacral together with each other to generate new things, new ideas, new ways of thinking, living, believing, creating, all of it. And so your sacral is the place where the kind of turn on juiciness, the connection to the universe and inspiration and divine bliss comes from. Now, as a society, we have had that shut down very much by religion, interestingly, which for me is kind of fascinating, right? Like the idea that the patriarchy needed to manage our connection to the sacred, so shut down anything to do with sex, anything to do with the sacral, to do with sensuality. And it's a lot of why women and the womb are not trusted, right? Because they're uncontrollable and because we don't need anybody else to tell us how to behave and how to connect with great spirit. So for a lot of people with the sacral authority, really learning to connect in with your womb space, if you have one, or your pelvic brain and your sword, your sexual energy, if you're a man, is really, really important. And we're living in a time where our relationship with sex, with gender, with masculine and feminine energies, with all of that is very nuanced. And I believe that a lot of the missing the point and a lot of the binary nature is a disconnect from the sacral. And the sacral has a binary response, but that doesn't mean that everybody's needs to be the same, because we get to co-create, and it is in the contrast and in the difference that new things are born, right? So there is some real nuance here, and the nuance is to do with the right, like your own binary response, and then being okay with and acting on and acting from your binary response, and not minding if anybody else's is different. So there's a whole load of stuff in there for you to embody and to unpack. But the trick to reconnecting with your sacral and with your authority is to reconnect with your sexual energy, with your life force energy, with your relationship with bliss and with turn on and with ecstasy and with the sacred, and with this deep core, or like yes, or meh, from yourself, and like what actually lights you up, what actually turns you on. And the beginning in the way of doing that is both by asking yourself questions that you can get a binary response to. And so getting good at asking yourself yes, no questions to practice that response and feeling what it is like for you. Like, is it a sound? Is it a movement? What is it? Is it a sensation? And also reconnecting with that part of your body. And for a lot of us, there is a lot of shame stored in the sacral, whether that is whether you are a man or a woman, whatever gender, it doesn't matter. Everybody has their own way of releasing that shame, which is to do with connection, because that's how we release shame, particularly in that space. And so if you want to talk to me about any more of that, if you want to book in for an alchemy session, if you want to book in for an MBIT session, which is what I use for my human design alchemy, then please find a link somewhere near here. And if you're, the link will probably take you to my embodied human design page for neurodivergence. And I work with neurodivergence, with your unique operating system, with embodiment. You do not have to be neurodiverse in order to work with me, but it is really about finding your unique operating system, working with your body. And if you would like to know more about that, then please do get in touch or book in and we can talk about it.